Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of my dives into fun shenanigans and possible some controversy. In today's Whatever Happened To, I'll be talking about the newest blatant attempt by Disney to get all of those nice Chinese yuan into their wallets. I'm of course talking about the new remake of Mulan. Comparing to the last two things I talked about, this production seems like in the superficial level like it went pretty according to plan. It was fairly efficient. So I'll just get to the miscellaneous things so we can start talking about the delicious meat of this video. The first time they attempted to make this remake, we have the 2010s attempt at the new Mulan, which was immediately cancelled for... Actually, there was no reason. They just tried it and then immediately gave up. I think there was some sayings that they wanted Jennifer Lawrence as Mulan, but that's just speculation. People are just afraid they would hire a white person as Mulan, and you can see how that was not gonna happen. After that, we have the 2015 Mulan, which is now the 2020 because that's when it got greenlit. Once the 2020 Mulan got greenlit in 2015, everything went nicely and squeaky clean, fairly efficient, because this, like all of these new live action remakes, is a factually made movie where Disney tells the director and the screenwriter and literally everybody attached exactly what needs to be done. And if you don't go with the formula, you better. And this new remake of Mulan is costing around $200 million, which would put it as the most expensive live-action remake. I know it sounds kind of bizarre seeing how much money they spent in The Lion King and in Aladdin, but apparently this is the most expensive one because they are putting a lot of money expecting China to go watch this movie, which, pandemic at all, doesn't seem to be the case. And also there are some other things I'll be talking about later on that also don't have this movie make a nice large box office revenue than $200 million. After that, the first teaser trailer and first teaser poster, which, why are teaser posters a thing? Posters are all teasers in nature. They don't show you anything about the movie besides maybe what the main character looks like and the font that they chose. That's nothing. It's just an image. I'm getting out of hand. Those two things I mentioned got firstly shown in the Women's World Cup of 2019 because Disney gave up in every single sense about trying to be subtle, about trying to capture the progressive crowd and trying to capture all those nice woke points. Because, you know, Disney is expecting that if they just say out loud, hey, this movie has a female lead and a female director, and we showed it for the first time in the Women's World Cup. Aren't you, like, morally obligated to watch this movie? Like, if you don't, we will call you names and call you a bigot and blame you entirely on any possible financial failure this movie might encounter. Even with a pandemic around, we're probably still gonna blame other people and not ourselves for remaking a movie that nobody was asking for. Maybe like 2 people, but stop asking for live action remakes. They don't work out very well. They usually lead to problems. And we're getting to that. We'll get there. Now, again, I have my timeline because there's a lot of information to remember and I don't want to bother because, well, I would rather spend my brain cells in anything else besides Disney nonsense because I spent way too much time in Disney nonsense already. Now, the next things I'm gonna say are gonna sound very different than the previous ones. So, in 2020, we have the producers saying that they're not gonna be including Mushu and General Shang into the movies. I don't really care that much. It's just that the reasons and the explanations provided are weirder than you would expect. And before that in 2019, we have the lead, Liu Yifei, making some not great comments and taking not great takes about the Hong Kong protest still going on to this day. And as you can see, the last two things I just said are more interesting than the rest because they're technically not stopping production and not making it slower, but they're not helping the movie look, well, good in any way. Because, now, these things I mentioned all happened between 1 year of each other, 2019 and 2020. And instead of breaking this whatever happened to into a timeline, I'm just gonna not care and go into what is the juiciest pieces of gossip, because I'm a gossip queen. I love gossip. Nobody can stop me. No one. And yeah, the first thing that is somewhat juicy is the explanations that provided of why they got rid of Mushu, which almost made some sort of sense, but not quite. Because the things that they said are alright, but they do show that this movie is gonna be the most inoffensive, unimaginative, artificial, safest movie ever made. There will be no artistic integrity to be found anywhere. When asked why Mushu wasn't gonna be in the movie, the producer gave this explanation. The dragon is a sign of respect, and it's a sign of strength and power, and that sort of using it as a silly sidekick didn't play very well with the traditional Chinese audience. Yeah, the movie about the girl going against traditional beliefs to protect her family from a horde of invaders that could have led her to be ostracized from the country and also her family. Yeah, appealing to tradition really makes sense in this context. And if you think I'm exaggerating of how much they're trying to suck China's dick, just listen to the synopsis, because it's pretty clear that they're just going, please, just give us your money for the love of Christ. We're not making as much money as we like in your market. Please, just come to the theater. I know you're busy watching other things on your phone, but... So the synopsis of this movie is pretty much what would make every censor proud, because it's essentially Chinese propaganda, but made by Disney. It's kind of bizarre. The epic tale of China's legendary warrior to life, I think they forgot a brought to, in Disney's Mulan, in which a fiercely young woman risks everything out of love for her family and her country. It's like they listened to every Chinese propaganda ever made and said, what if we wrote a synopsis that was even more on the nose than that? It's all about nation, family, country, honor, and better of all, no rebellion to be found, so comply or else. As for other explanations, descriptions, and things they pick out of hats to try and justify their decisions, we have the producer trying to explain of why they got rid of Shang. And it's even weirder than those last two things that I mentioned. I think, particularly in the time of the #MeToo movement, having a commanding officer that's also the sexual love interest was very uncomfortable, and we didn't think it was appropriate. What? I think I almost understand what they were trying to say. I get it, I think, but I don't think they knew what they were trying to say. Because he continued and said, we thought that in a lot of ways it was sort of justifying behavior of we're doing everything we can to get out of our industry. Why, what, or who were you saying this for? Nobody thought that in the first one. Shang thought Mulan was a guy for most of the movie. How does that make sense? I'm seriously asking, okay? How, by there simply being a power dynamic in your movie, okay, you are justifying sexual favors, harassment, assault, and all of the nasty things that got brought to light because of the Me Too movement about the Hollywood industry. No, seriously. How though? Because if that was the case, fucking Devil Wears Prada is the most problematic movie ever made. Just write the movie in a way that that dynamic isn't fucking weird and sexual. Now, what I thought was funny is that if they were trying to capture the progressive and the SJW crowd and the woke people, they failed because the LGBTQ community read this move as not cool at all, my dude, because they read the Shang's character as a good interpretation of a bisexual person. Now, you don't have to agree with that interpretation of the character, I can totally see it.
So, are you like completely a woman, or?
So, them kind of being annoyed makes somewhat sense. What I found more interesting was that instead of just, choosing to not include a love interest, very much like the original poem that created the Mulan 1996 movie, they just said, no, we're gonna split Shang into two less interesting characters and just still make sure that this movie has a love interest, even though we are trying to be progressive. And in a movie nowadays with a female lead without a love interest, that probably would be more progressive, but we're full of shit and we're lying. It's just so stupid. Whatever they say, they don't mean it. Because they're saying that they really care about the traditional, the Chinese perspective of the story of Mulan. So I thought it was gonna be a fun game to play with myself, that if I looked at the screenwriters or screenplay writers, whatever, that wrote this new movie and compared it to the 1998-6 movie, I wanted to see who had hired somebody with a Chinese descendancy. And wouldn't you know it, the old one beat the new one by a whopping amount of hiring one person, one single individual person of Chinese descendancy to be in their screenwriters. You don't have to find this an issue. It's fine. Not every movie has to have a Chinese person writing it. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that they only had to hire one person of Chinese descendancy to tie with the original. They keep saying they really care about heritage, tradition, and culture and the Chinese view, but it doesn't seem like they really do at all, and they just pretend it to be. Because, they have the right faces on the poster. It's not like anybody's gonna notice that all of the writers have no relationship to China, or they took an Asian studies at college. They had like a Chinese girlfriend. That valid. Every experience, the same level of knowledge, most definitely. Nobody noticed. Nobody. They did notice. After that fun game, I thought it was time for me to start looking at to say, what did Liu say about the Hong Kong protests, because that was the most controversial thing about the movie. And it wasn't great. She did come out and said that she was pro Hong Kong police. Now, if you don't know why that's kind of screwed up, I'm gonna have to provide some context. So sorry if this video is gonna turn out to be a little sadder than you would expect. So, in June of 2019, mainland China decided to start working on an extradition law to have people of Hong Kong to be judged under China. Just so you know, that's not good. Not good at all. Really bad, actually. They're kind of fucked. Because Hong Kong is somewhat autonomous. Sure, they have to still listen to China, because when you don't listen, well, that's kind of what's happening right now. But essentially, the Hong Kong people are supposed to be self-ruling until a maximum of the year 2047. And let's just say that that extradition law basically says, nah boy, you're ours now. You're under China rule. Meaning, say anything, literally anything, compare me to a yellow bear from a cartoon and you're fucking going to jail type of laws. So you can see why the Hong Kong people were not cool with this decision, which caused them to start a protest, which is still going on, like I said. And one of the things that brought to light about this protest was how willing the police was about beating its citizens to a pulp. They were quite extremes on their choices of managing the crowd, tear gas and all, rubber bullets sometimes real bullets. As I said, not a fun topic, and a lot of things have been happening. So, I do recommend people look into it, because there's a lot more than happened, not just what I said. Look into it, trust me, there's a lot there. But this is about Mulan, and I don't want people to just get out of here depressed. But now, with that context in mind, you can see that her saying that she's kind of chill with the police, deciding to be like, yes, I am with the Hong Kong police, "You can beat me up now" were not the best choice of words. Not even close would be an understatement. It didn't really make people very comfortable watching a movie where the lead is super cool with police brutality. Who would have thought that would have happened? Her not deeming that to be enough of a comment, she didn't think that she made her feelings go across well enough, she thought to say, "What a shame for Hong Kong." Because shaming the entire population of Hong Kong seemed like the smartest move in her mind, which was not true. A lot of people were very, very pissed, rightly so, and decided to start the hashtag boycott Mulan and Twitter, and I hope it sticks. Now, with the viral pandemic, it's not gonna need a lot of help to not make any money, but hey, if you're watching this, don't watch the movie. Now, I'm gonna say something that people might be pissed at me for saying it out loud. I do understand why she had to say she was pro Hong Kong police. Because if she had said she was pro protesters, well, China would have, let's say, buried the movie, buried her career over there, buried some other things and some other ones just to be safe, but also, if she's trying to get China in her good graces, she's not doing a really good job. She's doing a really bad job, actually. Because in the world premiere... Wait, why are you doing a world premiere right now? There's a global pandemic. There's more important things. Why are you releasing this movie anywhere before this is over? But whatever, I'll mention that later again. It's fine. When asked in the red carpet with all eyes on her, what she thought of what the motto of the movie that they're going for, loyal, brave, and true, I think it's absolutely an atrocious motto. It's so lazy. Live, laugh, and love, I guess, was taken. But what Liu thought of this was loyal, brave, true to her family and also to herself. I am so proud to be an Asian, and just knowing that if we think of something, we're gonna have the opportunity to be the best version of ourselves. I'm not even from China. I haven't even spent a lot of time in China. But even I know that saying I am a Asian was not the right move to take. The country is famously known for having a majority of its population be basically government mandated to be very proud of the fact that they're Chinese. But yeah, that did not lead to people being really happy with her choice of words again, but this time is the complete opposite of the side of the aisle, because as a Chinese angry citizen helps me make my point, stop coming to China to make money. I can just hear in my head Disney PR coming to her and being, please, for the love of God, shut the fuck up. After this, they clearly had a loud talk, probably a lot of screaming involved, with Liu about her political statements. When she was asked about the whole Rona situation that has led the movie to be delayed worldwide, except... Why did they release it? Why premiere? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But moving on. When she was asked about the Rona situation, let's just say that her newest comment was a lot more filtered and most definitely rehearsed and censored. It would be a real loss for me if I let the pressure overtake my possibilities. I think it's obviously a very complicated situation, and I'm not an expert. I just really hope this gets resolved soon. I think it's just a sensitive situation. Do you guys hear that? I think that's Disney's PR whispering down her ear, saying that if she even possibly thinks of saying else, possibly political, it's time to go bye-bye for her. She's essentially being puppeteered by two ominous presences, Disney and China, and whatever she says, she's kinda screwed. The reason why Disney is trying so freaking hard with their PR and discussing with Leo about all of her statements and all of the marketing that goes into this movie is that, well, they want to dig in that sweet, sweet international revenue, because that makes 70% of Hollywood's box office revenue right now. And, you know, China having a billion freaking wallets for them to dig their little fingers in, you bet your ass they're gonna be trying everything in their power to get to said wallets. Like an analyst said the other day, a movie like Mulan, where they spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in budget, marketing, and merch, Chinese takings can make or break a movie. So you get the idea. Let's not pretend that this movie isn't what it is. And what Mulan 2020 is a bland, very artificial, very pre-planned behind the scenes, and I don't mean that artistically at all. It's all about marketability, and that's it. This is not an artistic integrity type of deal. They just want that money. Because, you know, during a global pandemic, they still thought it was a good idea to have a world premiere where it only took place in one place of the world. Because, you know, everybody's at home and can't leave. With a world premiere that has made no money during 2 weeks. So we'll see how a movie that released like that will be remembered in a few years. My guess, either not at all or not very fondly.